Hello and welcome to another edition of the ICA Sports and Fitness Science Council podcast. I'm Dr. Brant Hulsebus, and again, I'd like to try to bring to you some of the newest research and science in the world of chiropractic and sports and fitness. And a big part of that, your patient's going to ask you a lot about nutrition and supplementation and different products they should be taking. As a council, we've reached out to different companies and we found one that we really like called Modexus. And joining us again is Dr. Ogden, and he's going to join us to tell us a little bit about the product right here I'm holding in my hand, Pro Balance. Dr. Ogden, you're up.
Well, Probio Balance is a very unique product. This took 2.5 years of research to convince the probiotic manufacturer that we could actually put this formula together. They were so skeptical, actually, Brant, that they did it first and then came back to us and said, if you're not going to patent that product, we will. So we had already applied for our patents. It has 4 unique ingredients in it. First of all, it has a special blend of Lactobacillus plantarum that has been clinically researched for the reduction of LDL cholesterol and an increase in bile acids. So if you understand lipid metabolism in your liver, or the breakdown of fat for the layman people, when you eat food that has fat in it, it has to be broken down, and our liver sends out something called bile acids to do that, to break down fats. So that's one of the first thing it does. This Lactobacillus plantarum does that, encourages the liver to produce more bile acids. I don't know that there's another product that efficiently does that. But secondary to that, in your intestinal tract, so deep down in your intestinal tract, there's another place where lipid metabolism takes place. And that's where probiotics are extremely important, is in that area. So the first ingredient was this Lactobacillus plantarum. It's a triple strain. It's clinically proven by the manufacturer to do what we said it would do. We wanted to engage plant stanols with that because plant stanols have been shown, and you can look this up on the government website, PubMed it's usually called, even though it's the National Institute of Health, where plant stanols have been shown to have a reduction in something called lipoprotein B. So that's the damaging cardiovascular protein. That's the one that causes the inflammation. So we wanted to put the plant stanols, the Lactobacillus plantarum together, and then just for general cardiovascular health, we wanted to put some ashwagandha. First of all, for an adaptogen for the stress, but secondary and as an antioxidant. Now, in order for us to get this Lactobacillus plantarum where it needs to be, we put it in a patented enteric-coated capsule. So that means we don't have to refrigerate these. You can refrigerate them, but it's not required. But that enteric-coated capsule preserves the integrity of the ingredients to get them down into your intestinal tract. So truly, this is a unique product, a unique formula, and in a unique delivery system. So there is no other product on the market like it. As a matter of fact, when in Canada, where it's made, when we applied for the NPN number, that allows us to legally sell it in Canada, and tells people that we have actually submitted documents to Health Canada to validate the claims that we're making for the product. Not only did they validate the claims for the reduction in LDL cholesterol, an increase in HDL cholesterol, they also allowed us to say that it's a treatment. Now that is a very unique claim in a natural health product, when you can actually say this is a treatment for hypocholesterolemia. Hypocholesterolemia meaning high cholesterol. Also hyperlipidemia, so that's an overall in too much fat in your system, in your bloodstream and other areas, which includes other types of fats. So hyperlipidemia is a separate sort of category to hypercholesteremia. We got a claim for the ashwagandha for its adaptogenic properties, and then of course a claim for the Lactobacillus plantarum to increase bile acids. The other thing that we got both in Canada and in the United States, and this surprised us greatly, was the FDA also allowed us to say it's a treatment for hypercholesteremia, hyperlipidemia, and a reduction in inflammation associated with cardiovascular disease. So this is a product in what it does. And first we ran a clinical trial. So we had a group of patients here in Canada. We took 10 patients, all with extreme levels of LDL cholesterol. We put them on 1 capsule a day for 90 days. You take it with your evening meal so that any of the leftover fat, particularly from digestion or ingestion and digestion of fats throughout the day, we would have that down in the intestinal tract at night to help break down those fats and not either get them out back into the blood or not efficiently remove them through the fecal matter. So this was a test that we did. We found it to be most effective at nighttime with your evening meal. And we did this test with these 10 patients over 90 days. Once again, these were extreme people with very, very high cholesterol levels. In Canada, we use a little different measure, but let's just say that it was, most of them were at least 40 to 50% above what is considered a safe level of LDL cholesterol. And in that 90 days, we saw a consistent reduction in cholesterol, LDL cholesterol. Now, most surprising to me, because HDL cholesterol is an extremely difficult thing to raise through diet. It's almost impossible. As a matter of fact, if you look it up, you'll see that is true, that just making dietary changes often does not raise HDL cholesterol, which of course we call it the cardioprotective. I call it the heart cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, the heart cholesterol. But we found that people were getting an 18 to 20% increase in their HDL cholesterol, which is just huge. It's not heard of. There's no other thing that can do that. So this product has not only, we submit these claims and Health Canada says, okay, you can say those things about them. You've given us enough data that we will allow you to say those. But then we also continue to prove that through the patient trial, which allowed us even more confidence in the claims and confidence in the product. Another thing I would like to mention to people in the uniqueness of the probiotic is this is not something the manufacturer pulls off a shelf that's ready and sitting there pre-made. When we order this product, the manufacturer grows that particular strain of the Lactobacillus plantarum. So every batch that people get has a new, fresh batch of Lactobacillus plantarum in it. And what the other thing about the plant stanols is every plant stanol that we use has to be granulated, or in technical terms it's called chalcination. So chalcination allows that to be broken down into something that we as humans can use. Understand that plant fats, that we maybe even don't associate fat with plants too much. We think they're more vitamins and minerals and fiber, but there are plants. But those are all engaged with cellulase and cellulose and things that generally we don't efficiently digest. So we take that material, we put that through a process as well called chalcination to enable it to get down into a molecular size that our body can actually absorb it. Another thing that we looked at was a study that was done in the Amish. So the Amish, eating organic food, get about 50 milligrams of plant stanols a day. we put 300, a little over 300 milligrams. So 300 milligrams is the amount of plant stanols that is associated with an increase in the ApoB protein, lipoprotein in the body. So this has had a lot of research, 5.5 years of research. It's not a just, oh, let's throw a product together at all. It is clinically proven. And not only did we do the test, but as we were doing our tests, the probiotic manufacturer was also doing their tests and collaborated our information. So you can truly give this to your clients and know that it is going to have an impact on their LDL cholesterol, the ApoB protein, which is the damaging one, and an increase in HDL, plus the anti-inflammatory effect. The final thing that I wanted to mention to people is if you are on statin therapy, there is no drug interaction with statin therapy. The last claim we got in Canada, and we're still looking for the FDA to allow us to make this claim, but in Canada, we can claim it as a adjunct therapy or an additional therapy to statin therapy. In other words, if you are on a statin, Health Canada has told us it is safe to use during statin therapy, and our experience is that people who are on statin drugs may be able to reduce their dosage, or in some cases with their doctor's supervision, reduce and eliminate the statin therapy in favor of just using the Probio Balance. Most of the time in those cases, we're using 2 capsules a day at bedtime to replace the statin. So this is a fantastic product. As a scientist and as a former pharmacist who used to be very concerned about my patients as they would go on statin drugs because of their indiscriminate reduction in cholesterol. And people maybe don't understand that cholesterol is required for manufacturing all of our hormones, our testosterone, our progesterone, our estrogen, our insulin, all these hormones. So this is such a tremendous alternative because we do not the effect is not in the liver. It does increase bile acids, but it's not blocking cholesterol production in the liver. It's actually taking care of it by the metabolizing the lipids themselves and reducing them down to something that our body can either use or excrete. So that's the story on Probio Balance. You may have some questions for me, Brant, and I'd love to answer them.
Well, you slipped one answer in there on me. We were talking previously, I was excited to hear how this actually affects my cholesterol, but I think we've definitely covered that one pretty good. But I have a quick general question. I'm always under the understanding that today's food source and quality of our soil isn't what it used to be. People say, why do I have to take supplements? Why do I need all this stuff? Or can't I just eat the right foods? And we describe a lot of times that it's not available in the food anymore. Unfortunately, that's why we have to take these things. So I believe everyone should be in a good probiotic. But is there like a target person, like if Kim's in my office and is having issues that you would say, this is definitely somebody you should have on probiotics?
Absolutely. So anybody that has any kind of inflammatory bowel condition, if they have Crohn's, if they have IBS, if they've been diagnosed with those things, this product is safe for them. But as we look at the older population, they tend not to eat vegetables. They tend not to eat like leafy greens because they can't digest them. They can't seem to assimilate them in their diet, and they often shy away from them because of the discomfort that is caused in their intestinal tract. So this is where we find that Probio Balance is really, really beneficial, is for people that are, they're older, their intestinal tract maybe isn't producing the enzymes like it used to. Maybe they're not able to restore the balance. And understand that Lactobacillus plantarum is 70% of the actual microbiome that has effect on metabolizing food in your body. So replacing that becomes a primary importance in these people. So we've seen different things, like people who say, I can't eat ice cream any longer, and I'd love to just have some ice cream. After taking Probio Balance, it seems to help with that, and now they're eating ice cream. I couldn't eat salad before, now I can eat salad again. I can eat things that I ordinarily wasn't eating because they were just causing me too much problem. Maybe bloating, some gas, maybe some diarrhea, things like that, that really aren't associated with any sort of diagnostic condition, but they're just uncomfortable and inconvenient. And we've definitely seen improvements in those situations.
In the chiropractic world, when we deal with people that are in the fitness, and a lot of times I'll have a patient come in and they have lower back issues and hip issues, and they're able to touch their toes after, let's say they do 6 weeks of care. Their range of motion's improved, they're able to touch their toes, they're able to move and twist better. They're even sometimes I take another x-ray, and I can't believe how much better the x-ray is, but yet they're in more pain. When I first started practice, I called the local spinal surgeon. I'm like, dude, I think I'm missing something. He's like, you are. They're on statin drugs. They didn't tell you. And, it's a major side effect of statin drugs, which affects the chiropractic world dramatically because we have to know these things. And I've never been a fan of statin drugs. I don't tell anyone what they should or shouldn't do, but I'm not a fan of them. So to me, this is really exciting to have an alternate choice that patients can work with their healthcare team to decide this is something they would rather do. But the idea that I don't have to not do what my doctor said, I can just incorporate this as well, and there's no negatives to that, only just positives, to me is outstanding. That's an outstanding feature of this. The only thing I usually tell people, and then you can tell me if I'm crazy on this, but if you're on the statin drugs and you start taking this, and this is doing what it's meant to do, then I always tell people the prescription drugs tend to start to have more side effects. And so maybe it'd be wise for people to learn the side effects of their statin drugs, like the lower back and hip pain and everything else. So I'm excited to know this is out there. I think probiotics aside, it's just nice to know there's a natural solution maybe to cholesterol issues, because I know here in the States, the cholesterol they push and push and push that. And it would be really cool to take this for 6 months first, then go get my blood work and not get the prescription in the first place. So thank you.
Yeah, and one of the things I'd like to point out is if you have been on a statin drug or if you've had high cholesterol for some time, this is not going to work in 1 month. And there's a reason for that. We have to get your liver used to making bile acids again. So when you go on this, you say, okay, I'm going to take this. If you are on a statin drug, one of the things you might notice right away within a few days is a reduction in some of those side effects, which is great, but you have to stay on it. So for most of our patients, we're saying to them, we have to do 90 days. We may even, because we don't really know the condition of your bile, the production of the bile acids, and the condition of your microbiome. So, give this some time. Give it 3 months, give it 6 months of therapy. I have a patient, a 72-year-old woman, whose cholesterol was sky high, and because her mother actually went on a statin drug, and then the side effects were just horrific for her mother. She's like, I'm not going there. I'm just not going there. And this is one of the more difficult cases that we dealt with. So what we saw, unfortunately, first was kind of a rebound effect in because I think the liver, and because of that fact that the liver was like, oh, I've got to change what I'm doing. And so it did take a few months, but I'm happy to report that her cholesterol has dropped by 40% in about a year. And there's, that's what they're looking for in a statin drug. But we did this without any side effects. She's feeling great. She's eating salad. She's eating food she hasn't eaten in a long time and is very happy. So the consistency, give your body a chance to adapt to the changes. It takes 90 to 120 days to recycle our red blood cells, and a lot of the epithelial cells in our intestinal tract. They all have to be recycled and become brand new, and be trained again that, hey, we're actually going to do this job that formerly we were blocked from doing.
Great point, because I know when you take a really good antioxidant, it'll kick in right away. and people try a new supplement, they're on the antioxidant, and they flush their system, and they feel this overall relief, and then usually about 3 months later they don't feel that anymore, so they quit. They don't realize that they're not building up free radicals anymore. So some things you get quick results with, other things it takes time to rebuild, wake up your systems. I mean, if when your body's not using a body part, it stops putting the energy into that and lets something else take over. So if you have to wake the liver back up and get it doing its job again, it's going to take some time to relearn it. But innately, it's all in there,
and
ready to go.
And in combination with chiropractic, I believe this is going to even be more enhanced, because you're going to get the nerves. You're going to get that nerve play right away as well. So what a dynamic combination, chiropractic and a formulation that we know we know what it's doing, and we know it's going to do its job given the opportunity to do that.
Get the words out of my mouth that time. I was about to say a good T5 adjustment going right to that liver. Give it a jump start. Say, let's go, buddy. Let's get to work. Here's your supplies you need to do your job. Now get to work. Well, this is awesome. I want to thank you for taking some time today and talking to us. I always give my guests the final stage one more time. Is there anything more you'd like to add that we didn't cover? So the floor is yours.
What I would like to say to people is we have now had another trial done where we've compared the current cholesterol-lowering natural health products to Probio Balance. We did a 90-day trial. We looked at everything that's sort of available in Canada in the market, and we did a side-by-side trial with people. And I'll just say what the lead doctor on this trial said. There is nothing like Probio Balance. There's just nothing like it. There is no other source or promoted anti-cholesterol product on the market that literally works like Probio Balance. So that was just really good. We just completed that, and we just found out that she was doing that. We had hinted that she might want to do that, but she went ahead and did it. And once again, Probio Balance came out the clear winner in that area.
Fantastic. We talked last time that we would talk about this one, and I know patients ask me all the time. They say I have high cholesterol. I know statin drugs are bad for me. What else do you got for me that would help me? And it's great that we have an answer now. And then on another note, for next time when we talk, here's my little teaser. Patients come in all the time and say, do you have a natural thing for my little aches and pains, like a natural anti-inflammatory and something to help with the discomfort? And I already know your answer because I've done an experiment with it. So next time we talk, you'll have another one for us to discuss, I'm sure, which I'm excited to hear more about too.
I'm definitely excited to talk about that one as well, for sure. All right.
So if you want to know what we're talking about, the best thing you can do is like and subscribe, follow this podcast, make sure you don't miss the next one, and just share this with your friends and other chiropractors. And if you want to learn more about this product, just go to the ICA Sports and Fitness Science Council page. We have direct links directly to them. And if you're a member, when you log in and you're on the Know We Well site, you're going to have better access to more options and supplies. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sure we're going to do this again. So this is our third one. You're the most repeated guest who's not a board member.
Thank you.
Be careful with that. You might end up on the board.
All right.
We'll
very good.
From there, okay?
Very nice to talk with you, Brant, and you have a wonderful day.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right.